Alrighty, so this is your leg day warm up. We're going to start pretty easy by opening the gate, so bringing one leg up and then externally rotating, trying to keep all of the motion coming from the hip. We're going to do this 3 times on each leg, trying to minimize movement in the torso and having it all come from this hip joint so that we can warm that up. Then we're going to touch the toes 3 times, just starting off pretty slow. So you're going to just bend down and touch the toes if you can, or just come down as far as you can. We're going to do this 3 times. Just trying to get a stretch and a bit of a warm up in the hamstrings and the calves. All right, moving to the top of the mat. We're going to do 3 inchworms. So with an inchworm, you're going to start by sending your hips back and bending over just like you're about to touch your toes. Go down as far as you can until you can touch the ground, and you can bend your knees for this if you need to. So you're going to then walk yourself down into the plank position, trying to keep your knees straight the whole time, stay in the plank for just a second, and then walk yourself back up. We're going to do this 2 more times for a total of 3 times altogether. Walking down into the plank, holding it for just a second, and then walking back up. And then last one, when we get down to the bottom of this inchworm, we're going to stay here and pop one leg up so that it's in line with the hands. It doesn't have to be all the way up with the hands. If you can't get up there, just try to get as close as you can. And then you're going to set that back knee down. So staying here for a second, try to drive forward, get a nice stretch all throughout the hip, and then you're going to come up into an upright position. From here, you're going to take that arm that is opposite to your front knee, and you're going to stretch your palm up to the sky, trying to really get a good stretch throughout the right side of the torso. You can lean over to the left a little bit, and then coming back down to the ground, you're going to take your hands on either side of your left leg, and then tuck that back toe and straighten out your front knee for a standing split stretch. Hold this for about 5 seconds. You should feel a really good stretch all throughout the back of this leg. And then coming down, we're going to repeat that 2 more times for a total of 3 stretches total. Coming up into that split stretch, holding for 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming back down, and then one more time. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, we're going to switch sides here, bringing that other foot up, and then planting the hands on the mat. Drive forward here, trying to get a nice stretch in the hips. And then when you're ready, we're going to come upright, taking that opposite arm up to the sky, leaning a little bit to the right, and get a nice stretch all throughout the side of the body. And then coming back down, hands on either side of that right leg. We're going to tuck that back toe, stretch out the front knee, holding for 5 seconds. And then coming back down, same as the other side. We're going to do this 3 times total, just stretching throughout the back of this leg. It is so important to make sure that your hamstrings and your calves are really well stretched and your hip joints are nice and warm when starting any leg workout, just to minimize the risk of any injuries. All right, when we're done with that, we're going to come into a seated position. We're going to do something called 90-90s. It's called a 90-90 because there's going to be 2 right angles. So what we're going to do is position the front knee in a right angle and position the other knee in a right angle. So you're going to be sitting in this fashion or anything that looks a little bit like this. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to rotate your knees, and so try to lean a little bit back and really have a lot of this motion coming from the hips. You should feel a stretch here in the hips, just a little bit, maybe a little bit of tightness. We're just kind of trying to move the hips through their range of motion to get them warmed up, and do this about 5 times. do this 2 more times. And then 1 movement to the left and 1 movement to the right is 1 rep. So 1 more to the left and then to the right. Great. All right, coming up into standing, we're going to take a squat stance. So I'll show you what that looks like from the front, standing with my feet just a little bit wider than my hips, toes slightly pointed out. So I'm going to take that same position from the side so that you can see everything that I'm doing. You're going to start by just grabbing your big toes with either hand, like this. And then what you're going to do is sit down into a squat, the deepest squat that you can, and you want to have your elbows more narrow than your knees. We're going to sit here for just a second, warming up the hips. You should feel a little stretch here, and then extending the knees, and you should feel a really good stretch throughout the backs of the legs. Coming back down, we're going to do this 4 more times for a total of 5, and then back up, down, and then back up, 2 more, down, and back up, and the very last one, down, and back up. All right, so I'm just gonna move the camera so that you can have a wall. You wanna have just a wall or like a pole or maybe a piece of a cable machine, just something that you can hold on to for support. Final 2 exercises of the warm-up. First one we're going to do is a standing quad stretch. It's gonna be a short quad stretch. You can hold onto a wall for support if you need to. What you're gonna do is bring your ankle to your glute, trying to send your knee down to the ground, holding this for just a few seconds, and then releasing, bringing it right back up, stretching for a few seconds, and then releasing. We're going to do this 5 times. 3, 4, 5. All right, other side. 1. And so we're doing this really quickly because dynamic stretching is a little bit more effective before workout, because if you're doing static stretching where you're staying still and holding the stretch for maybe a minute at a time before a workout, it actually reduces the strength that you're able to produce with those muscles. So shorter bursts convey the same benefits of the stretch without reducing your strength output. So last stretch we're going to do is a calf stretch. So you're going to take the ball of your foot and press it up against the wall, and then trying to drive the heel into the wall as well. I like to lean forward at my hip a little bit. We're just going to stretch here for a few seconds. And then switching to the other side, driving the ball of the foot into the ground, and then driving my hip into the ground, or hip into the wall, ball of the foot into the ground. We're going to repeat that 1 more time. All right, perfect. Great job. You're ready for an awesome lift.